So we might be back now, and okay, it worked before. It worked as long as... Yes, and now it seems to work. Okay. Can you hear the diesel now? Now the diesel is there. Okay. Weirdness incarnate.
Great Western Railway service to Paignton will be calling at Torre, Torquay and Paignton.
Alright.
The next station is Torre.
Now you can hear the announcements, okay? I hope so, at any rate. Okay, thanks AJ for helping me fix it, even though I do not really understand how it works now and why it did not work before. This is the junction actually where you can go to the left towards Paignton. At least that's what I thought. Now, we're just approaching it, yes. Now you can enjoy the diesel sound and the announcements. Now we're going in the part with more driving, less stopping, still some pretty heavy gradients. Going uphill here. Until we get to a little tunnel, if I'm not mistaken, and then down to Torre. Will we stop in a serious decline or descent? slowing down to 55. Oh, to 45. I remember that wrong. And now it takes forever until we get to the reduction to 30. The limit to the 55 is then later on. But going downhill to Torre, that is correct. It's like in a little dell, this station. From both sides here going down.
We are now approaching Torre.
Torre. Going until we get to the end of the platform, you can see our Class 800 marker for 5 to 10 trains, cars.
This is Torre.
And now we're actually a bit early. We have a signal. Good thing this isn't happening on a German train, says HA. You mean being early? We would never hear the end of it. A German train being early, how unrealistic.
Welcome aboard this Great Western Railway service to Paignton. We'll be calling at Torquay and Paignton.
Now we're actually going
The
to
next station is Torquay.
Paignton. This is why I was in the wrong line. We're going to Paignton and we're not going to Plymouth. Anyway. Have to get the whole train out of the 30 restriction at the station, and then we can go back to 40 for the rest of the line.
We are now approaching Torquay.
Torquay. Torquay is also the name for the whole municipality here. Seat of the administration. And you can see palms. And at least now we know why it is called the Riviera Line, right?
This is Torquay.
So we can already start to collect bits for what train and what part of the route we should run next. Exeter Plymouth, Plymouth Exeter, Paignton Exeter. On the Voyager, on the Sprinter, on the Networker Turbo. I'm up for everything. Good thing about the 802 is that we're safe from the train faults. Because they are happening only on a certain number of trains. Like the Sprinter and the Voyager.
Welcome aboard this Great Western Railway service to Paignton. We'll be calling at Paignton only.
Yes, because Paignton is the end.
The next station is Paignton.
Surprisingly. Here we're going into a dell and then immediately back into an incline. And once more approaching the coast, the shoreline. Paignton station area is down to 15. Don't think that we're getting a morpeth for that. As soon as we're around this bend, we should approach a couple of signals and see the station, and at the signal or shortly after there is this limit to 15.
We are now approaching Paignton.
Yellow, obviously. And here you can see it in the grass to the left. Here is the limit to 15. Still going downhill. You can see the train spotters on the footpath bridge. And we're at Paignton, the next seaside resort. We're going all the way because we're going to the special stop marker for the Class 800 trains. Even though we only have 5 cars.
This is Paignton.
Since we are at the red signal. DRA before we open the doors. And this is the end of the service. Line actually goes on a bit. If you go along the coast, you will get to Brixton. Here's a Gronko. So, actually we have a red light, nevertheless we have to close the doors, otherwise we can't finish the service. And that's it. That was the first service. Exeter to Paignton, the classic Riviera Line on the Class 802. Diesel electric A-train, a dual powertrain actually. But here on this line, it was awesome, says AJ. Especially with audio. Yeah, that was obviously annoying because audio is a lot on this route. The train sounds for the diesel are impressive. And the announcements no less. So what are we supposed to do? Run home from Plymouth to Exeter maybe? That sounds good. Then let's pick the Voyager, shouldn't we? This train we had, the 802, the Sprinter, and the Class 166. The Turbo Networker are still in here with a couple of services. The high-speed train, as you can see, has a lot of services actually. I have not run this one. So what I really like about this DLC is that with the different trains and their different maximum authorized speeds, you can make a different use of the speed limits, because sometimes you get speed limit changes that are not relevant for you. Plymouth to Exeter St. Davis. Getting a Misty. Let's check out the Misty. 8:25 in the morning, October autumn mist for the Voyager with Class 220, Plymouth to Exeter. But before that, actually, I wanted to check out the route on the map. This is what I prepared the presentation for, did I not? So, before we actually go into it, let's have a look at my presentation. This is where we are. A map can never hurt to look at the map where we are. And this is the better part of the United Kingdom. And we are here in this corner, in the southwestern corner, with Cornwall and Devon mostly. Here's the Cornwall loco line that we have already had from Rivet Saint Estelle to Penzance, and this is now what we have in this DLC, Exeter to Plymouth. We are going from Plymouth now all the way back to Exeter. Before that we traveled from Exeter to Paignton, here along the coast and a bit back in the land, and then down to Paignton. And this is what we're doing now, reverse here. And actually from Exeter the line would go back to London Paddington, what is in the Great Western Express DLC, but the part in between is obviously missing. You can see Bristol, that is where the Great Western Express line actually more or less goes to, if you go on it beyond the limits of the DLC. And here Plymouth to St. Austell, actually the trains go on. This is where you find a lot of trains saying Exeter to Penzance or London Paddington to Penzance, and then going here the way Exeter, Newton Abbot, Plymouth, St. Austell, Penzance, via Truro, Redruth. From here I think it is the Cornwall main line, and here being called the South Devon main line, probably the Riviera Line in its actual sense is here between Exeter and Paignton. So much for that. And yeah, we've been on this train, the 802, and what is an Hitachi A train, so a Japanese train, diesel electric. The Sprinter we will get later, and now we are going on this train, the Class 220 Voyager, the deluxe train for this route. What is also a diesel electric train with IGBT technology, a bit older than the 802 actually, and yeah, we don't need that here. This we will get tomorrow again. Let's take the presentation out and let's get started. 8:30 in the morning on the Voyager from our journey from Plymouth to Exeter St. David's on the Voyager train. Master key, neutral. It's a loud train, isn't it? A loud train. Finally going to Edinburgh. It's a long train, actually 2 4-car sets. It's a loud and long train. But we are good to unlock the doors on the right side. We need some lights. They should be okay. Here are our safety systems: vigilance, DSD, TPWS, TPWS full. Can hear. Let's check out if the vigilant works. Takes a lot of time at any rate. Not like this, as it seems, but I've heard it sometime already. DRA checks out. Next stop in Totnes. Okay. Camera got moved again. Every time you leave your seat and sit down again, the external cameras get moved. Here you have to hold the hill start brake.
Totnes. This is a cross-country service to Edinburgh Waverley.
Yeah, can you hear the train working? The 4 or 8 Cummins prime movers that we have on the train 25. We should stay under when leaving the station here. Here at this signal we switch to a 55 limit as soon as we are past the sign with our long train. Stupid thing about those stutters and lags is that you don't get your keyboard inputs in. A22 coming in. Here was the vigilance, it works. Increase to 60. Oh yeah, I like the weather. I take it you don't like the weather. Nope, it's too misty. Increase to 70. passing the yard area here. But it's always a bit hard on the FPS, and I actually managed to go too fast. And I missed the 60 reduction again. At the end of this 4-track area. At the whistleboard there was also a 60 reduction, and now we can go back to 80. It's only this little bottleneck in between. And look at this incline here. All of a sudden we're running uphill, and then when we're uphill and could go faster, then we will get a limit to 60 again. So even on notch 4 the train is pushing hard against the gradient. And I already missed the 60 limit again, because in this direction we don't get moped boards. In the opposite direction you get a moped board for almost every change. And here you don't. Back to the 60. And now probably this will be until we get to Totnes. One of the diesel engines has stalled. It will need restarting. And actually here on the Voyager it seems to work while running, because it now says The fault has been fixed. Let's see how often this happens during the run. This was one of those new prompt things. Yes, this was one of the random events, a random train fault that they wanted to add for more immersion. True. So what it does not, in my opinion, is devalue the fault system on the Expert 101 loco. See, it stalled again. And the fault has been fixed by restarting the engine. I'm actually not sure how we are supposed to see which engine it actually is, because we have 8 prime movers on our 2 trains at the train, 1 in each car. I'm not entirely sure if by pressing the engine start button here in the front cap we just restart whatever engine failed. And apparently this can be done without even setting the power brake handle back to neutral or anything. That seems more annoying than anything. Yeah, well, you have a slider where you can decrease or increase the likeliness of something like this happening, but even so, it did not really convince me, this fault system. Especially if you know how it is done on the Expert 101. Ivy Bridge and AJ removed the cheap followers advertisement. Thank you so much. 3rd time that we have to restart our engine. And the 4th time just after. Yeah, we should get this train to the maintenance guys, definitely. This can't be the solution to restart the engine on the fly. Over and over again. But the sound of the Voyager, I really like it. This low droning 5th time diesel engine. When we're stopping at Totnes, I think it is still 60. On other trains, do you have to stop every time this happens? On the Sprinter, the class 150, you can't start them while running. And even after stopping, it is not always possible to go on. So there is definitely some fine-tuning left to do. And again. 7th time. Look at this gradient. Whoosh, this is really like a downhill race. tunnel. But look at the transitioning from tunnel to world outside. This is much better than it used to be. You can see the fog from inside the tunnel. It's not like it used to be. When you're inside the tunnel, the world outside does not have any fog, and as soon as you're out, the fog appears. Also, the pupil adaptation works nicer. So a lot of nice things have been done here. And if you own the Great Western Railway, the Great Western Express DLC, then you have 5 different trains for a lot of services here, with a different experience each. So Totnes, you can see Totnes is at the end of this decline, at the bottom of the pit, so to say. So we have to hold back our Voyager. Coming with a lot of momentum. Well, we always have to take into consideration when stopping at Totnes. I think this should be a flashing yellow, a single flashing yellow. What indicates that we are branching off at the junction for a speed restriction here. And this is, we're going to Totnes platform 2 that has a limit of 25. The flashing animation has a bit the same problem that the flashing animation, for example, in the Dutch DLC has. Flashing seems to be out of tune, so the halo flashes in a different phase than the actual light flashes. And that seems a bit weird sometimes, so you cannot always easily see that it is actually flashing. Next signal that we are approaching should actually be a single yellow. After we go a single flashing yellow. Even with the minimum brake on, the train is picking up some speed. Well, we got enough time actually to take it easy. No, maybe not enough time to take it that easy. But anyway, as soon as we're branching off, we need to be down to 25. And there is a lot of distance between the flashing yellow signal and the home signal for Totnes. Now here's an AWS magnet and here's the junction signal, and as was to be expected, held at yellow and now approach controlled probably to green for the branching off in 800 yards, and the 8th time that our diesel engine stalled.
We are now approaching Totnes.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform, and take care when stepping down from the train.
So now we're branching off for the 25. And this is Totnes. Brakes on the Voyager are not that effective, at least on lower ranges. Saying that, I overbraked a bit. Can't see a stopping... yeah, there is a stopping board for us. Hard to see, but it's actually past the platform, so that we can get all our doors to the platform.
This is Totnes. This is a cross-country service.
Well, now we're actually having real FPS problems. Let's hope that the game recovers from that. Don't know what the game sometimes does in the background here. Now it's virtually frozen. Sometimes it helps to go into the pause screen and wait for it to recover again. But it doesn't seem as if it wanted to. See if it gets better if we close the doors. Yeah. All of a sudden, doors are closed and the problems with the FPS are resolved.
The next station is Newton Abbot. This is a cross-country service to Edinburgh Waverley.
Edinburgh Waverley. What is special because we're not going to London. And the diesel engine cut out. And comes back. And obviously I'm too fast because I should stick to the 25 still. Until we are back on the main line with our whole train. Newton Abbot. Usually 60, but part of it, the 55. Newton Abbot, you remember this is where we branched off to Paignton in the service before? Newton Abbot 3, so we should not go into a loop now. Distances between stations here between Plymouth and Newton Abbot are much longer than the distances between the stations on the other side, between Newton Abbot and Exeter. And that was at least the 9th time that the engine cut out and was cut in again. So, great here. After this tunnel it is going downhill. Eleventh time. Increase to 60. And we're approaching Newton Abbot. Soon we will be joined by the line that comes from Paignton, coming in from the right. Alright, Tiger says, hey AJ, I'm sorry but I need to head to sleep. Thank you for the stream, it's fun. Thank you AJ for watching. And have a good night. Here's the line coming in. And we are approaching Newton Abbot. I think we don't have to slow down. I actually slowed it down already a bit. This is why we're a bit late. Platform 3 should be a stop on the main line, so no need to slow down to 50 or something.
We are now approaching Newton Abbot.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform, and take care when stepping down from the train.
We will do just right this. So are we stopping here at the normal markers or are we going on?
This is Newton.
So it seems that changing the camera while the doors are opening can severely impair the FPS number. Oh no, now a door has been stuck. That is not good. If a door is stuck, that can actually mean that the service is not to be finished. Let's see which door it is. Let's inquire. Actually, not super full, my train, is it? It's probably the last door on the second train set. Here are actually a couple of passengers. Juniper, I am back when you have sound. Nice. Yeah, super nice to see you. Aha. This is our stuck door. See if we can fix it. It has been unstuck, it says. Alright, we can go on. Let's hope that the train actually moves now. At any rate, we managed to close the door.
The next station is Exeter St David's. This is a cross-country service to Edinburgh Waverley.
Yes, lady. Great, you're being optimistic. But wait for the driver to be back in the cab, restarting the engine, and then we might actually get at some point in time to Edinburgh Waverley. No, I don't want to give up service, I just fixed the door. Oops, that was the wrong seat. Okay. Apparently, our engine is running again. And it's failed again. And it's been fixed again. Let's try to leave this station before the engines fail again. It actually worked. We managed to get 4 faults out of the way here. We're leaving Newton Abbot. That means we're leaving at 60 miles. We're not stopping on our way anymore. So the door fault, as annoying as it was actually nice. Because it makes you walk through your train, it makes you play around with the door controls. should get an increase to 90 before we get to Teignmouth, right? Yes, this time I'm actually right. I like how the waves glitter in this light. Let's see, at some point in time we should prepare for a slowdown to 80 and then to 60 before we get to Teignmouth. Don't know if we get a Morpeth board for that. Probably not. In this direction they don't like Morpeth boards, but actually here is one for the 80 reduction. Then let's do this and comply. And here's the one for the 60 reduction. And that's the magnet for the signal. Here's the 80. And again, the engines. This is like a pair of shoes when your laces always untie themselves and you have to tie them over and over again. Here's the 60 for Teignmouth. Now we are approaching the very short spell of an increased speed limit of 75 before we get to Dawlish. But now we are getting a 40 limit announced. In a temporary speed restriction. Before we go to the tunnel, there will be the 60. Here it is. Let's see where... Let's see if we get the speed limit. Here you can see the temporary speed restriction signs did not spawn. You can see them for the opposite direction, and here we should get our T sign. Now get our long train through the temporary speed restriction. And we can go back to 60. That gets us through the tunnels and through Dawlish. Dawlish. Increasing to 75. I think up the hill, when we pass Dawlish Warren, we will have another limit to 60 before we can go to 80 for Starcross. That's different from the opposite direction. I'm actually a bit late. What already made the engines fail again. And also the frame rate. See if we can get both running again. Well, the engine started again. The frame rate is still in the... Come on, my frame rate, recover. Missed at the carnival. Breaking the frame rate at the moment. See if it's get better when we are through Dawlish Warren. Now I can't even close the doors to fix the frame rate. Interesting. Sometimes playing around with the cameras can have a significant effect on the frame rate. At least that's what it seems. And the diesel engine for the umpteenth time. That happens if you have American diesel engines on a French train. Starcross. Oh, I should have slowed down to 75 probably. Before we got to Starcross. So getting closer to the point where we can go back to 100. Like here. Can go 125 this train. Not on this route though. I guess we have to prepare for... No, at the moment they don't tell us that we have to prepare for. But we definitely have to prepare for a slowdown to 75 sometime. Question is how far away it is. So far away that we cannot see it in the preview. And the engine stalled. And the engine is back. Of course we are late because we had this door problem at Newton Abbot. Ah, it's between Marsh, Barton and Exeter St. Thomas. Now we have to slow down to 75. Maybe we get a moped board for it. So we're getting closer to 20 times this engine stalling. That would be Marsh Barton then. And around those two bottle-like chimneys there should be the 75. Around these three aspect banner repeater. And here we go, 75. Double yellow. Exit to St. Thomas. And a slowdown for... what will it be? 40 or something. Also different from the opposite direction. Opposite direction it is 30. Here it is 45. Single yellow.
We are now approaching Exeter St. David's.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform and take care when stepping down from the train.
Will do, will do.
is Exeter St David's. This is a cross-country service to Edinburgh Waverley. The next station is Tiverton Parkway.
It's nice, they also announced the stations that are not in the DLC anymore. Tiverton Parkway. We can't get there, but the train can. Alright, this was the Voyager, the voyage on the Voyager, deluxe train for this DLC, for this route, with a lot of engine stalls and yeah, a nice door fault, and it was nice because it was actually able to fix it. It was recoverable. Train announcements were already in the Bernina route years ago, right? Yeah, this is true. Rivet had their own system of trains and train announcements. In the Blackpool branches on the Pacer, you could also have train announcements, but they were more or less route specific and not core features like this. Now they are core features, and they are a good deal more elaborate, I should say. So let's go back to a bit more sunny weather and take the third train that originally belongs into this DLC, the Sprinter Class 150/2, and do an afternoon track in summer. Not Paignton, Exmouth Paignton, Exmouth Paignton, Exmouth Paignton. Is there something where I can actually go to? Plymouth in the pace. Not that many. At night I can go from Plymouth to Exeter. Well, if that is so, then we will probably go from Paignton to Exeter in the afternoon. Paignton to Exeter. The other way around. Let's go back to July. Maybe light clouds. And let's see what that looks like. Engine stalls on the Sprinter are much more annoying than on the Voyager. So, drive this passenger service from Paignton to Exeter St. David's. Oh, we just got the green light. The RA is working though. Headlights. GSMR on this train is working. In case you wondered where they hid the switches for the safety systems, they are underneath this flap. Self-test works. Let's see if the vigilance device works. It does. I am here. Back to neutral. Can we contact the signaler? Horn works. Test the wipers. They work. Wipers on second man side. They work as well. Alright, good. This fuse is okay. Testing horns at the station, well, not really, to be honest. But since we have to take over the train here, there's not much that we can do, huh?
Torquay. This is a Great Western Railway service to Exmouth.
So we're limited to 15 here, I think. To Exmouth. How long are we, by the way? Ah, we are only 2 cars. Some countries say you can only do outside of residential areas. Yeah. In Germany, this is especially restrictive. Can more or less test your horn only at the yard. So let's check what we have to do at Torquay. See how they put Torquay in a bowl, and then Torre, and Torre has the 30 limit. So across the rim of this bowl and down to Torquay. This train does not have a combined brake and power handle, so I need my second hand. They tend to say that you have to run the route once for the stutters to go away, but sometimes I have the feeling you have to run it once in every weather. To make the stutters subside.
This is Torquay. This is a Great Western Railway service.
Western Railway service to Exmouth, calling at Torre, Newton Abbot, Teignmouth, Dawlish, Marsh, Barton, Exeter, St David's, Exeter Central, St James Park, Poleslow Bridge, Digby and Soughton, Newport, Topsham, Exton, Lympston Commando, Lympston Village, and Exmouth.
And in the uphill climb, even in notch 7, this train is straining to climb here. Like if you look at the profile, now it's really getting up the hill to Torre. 3 stations in the DLC that start with T-O-R. Torquay, Torre. No, Totnes does not start with T-O-R. Sorry. Only with T-O-T.
We are now approaching Torre.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform, and take care when stepping down from the train.
Torre has a general limit of 30, regardless on what platform.
This is Torre.
15:30, Great Western Railway service to Exmouth, calling at Newton Abbot, Teignmouth, Dawlish, Marsh, Barton, Exeter, St David's, Exeter Central, St James Park, Poleslow Bridge, Digby and Soughton, Newport, Topsham, Exton, Lympston Commando, Lympston Village, and
No, he'll
Newton
start.
Abbot. This is a Great Western Railway service to Exmouth.
Yeah. This train does not have a hill start brake, so you have to leave the brakes on a notch and already start your power a notch so that your train can't roll backwards. Next one is a go via, because now we're merging with the main line. before we get to Newton Abbot. Increase to 60. But we are aware. After that we're going down to 55 and 40. So getting closer to the junction, but we still have a lot of room before we have to slow down. Newton Abbot 3. Distance signal is at caution. So we have to approach with caution. That was only for the Morpeth board. For a second I thought there is already a red signal that I did not see. Here's the 55. And the next signal is really, really far away. And cleared in the meantime. Position 2. Can we go with 40 across the switch? Or is that slower here? No, I can go with 40. So we're going actually on that track that we already used with our Voyager.
Approaching Newton Abbot.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform and take care when stepping down from the
Hey,
train.
Kara. Gotta stop the train at the station here. So I can't pet you at the moment. Here's the off indicator hidden behind the number 3 board.
This is Newton.
For the 1539 Great Western Railway service to Exmouth, calling at Teignmouth, Dawlish, Marsh, Barton, Exeter St David's, Exeter Central, St James Park, Poleslow Bridge, Digby and Soughton, Newcourt, Topsham, Exton, Lympston Commando.
Teignmouth. This is a Great Western Railway service to Exmouth.
It sounds always funny if she says, "This is a great train that you just boarded." So between Newton Abbot and Teignmouth, we should run into the 90, 80, 60 pattern. And with our short train, we can almost immediately accelerate. Train can't go faster than 75 though. So even though we are in a 90 section, we cannot go faster than 75. So I guess the official release stream is already running. Obviously difficult to compete with this one. So the 80 has a Morpeth board. Doesn't hurt as much because we can't go faster than 80 anyway. But for the 60, even we have to slow down. This is the 80 here. And the 60 for Teignmouth. A high-speed train. Look where they placed the warning indicator. Oh shit. Where they placed the warning indicator for the speed restriction in the middle of the platform. That is a bit weird. And now...
This is Teignmouth. This is a Great Western Railway service to Exeter.
A Great Western Railway service with a stalled engine at the moment. Let's see, reverse it to neutral, brake to full service, throttle to off. This should actually make our train start again. No. Doesn't. Is it the one on the other train? We actually do have only one train, right? Okay, you have to crawl to get through here.
The next station is Dawlish. This is a Great Western Railway service to Exmouth.
Don't think so. Well, at least one engine is working from the sound of it. But I should say this is the one at the rear. Not this one here. Ah, idea. I had it the other day that you had to stop it first before you can start it anew. I see, now I've got it back. Fault has been fixed. Question is if we can actually get the brakes released again, because that did not work when I tried it last time. Let's see if they release. They do! Great! We're late, but we managed to fix the train fault. Leaving Teignmouth with 60, approaching Dawlish. That means we have a short section of 75 in between before we slow down to 60 again. So the logic seems to be that I have to stop the one remaining diesel engine so that I can start both of them anew. Can't see no smoke anymore. Probably because... No, can't be the reason. What? Why are we over speed limit? Ah, there was our temporary speed restriction that was announced at the platform in this weird way. But again, you can't see any signs here for our direction. They just did not spawn. Soon, Kara. Soon. We are already almost at Dawlish. And as soon as we're back at Exeter, we will go for a walk. I think you would like it there. At the beaches.
We are now approaching Dawlish.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform and take care when stepping down from the train.
This is Dawlish. This is a
1551. Great Western Railway service to Exmouth. Calling at Marsh, Barton, Exeter, St David's, Exeter Central, St James Park, Poleslow Bridge, Digby and Soughton, Newport, Topsham, Exton, Limston Commando, Limston Village, and Exmouth.
Doors are closed, but people are still boarding the train. Okay, we are stopping at Marsh Barton with this service. That is rare. Class 66, not so rare, running light. Speed limit increased to 75, but let's not forget that there is a 60 limit when entering Dawlish Warren at the top of the hill that we were late for last time. So with all the enthusiasm running uphill here. Well, and the boat is swinging and swinging. And the limit increased to 80. So somewhere we must get a slow down to 75. It's even announced with a moped board. Starcross. And now for... Oh, we shouldn't have gone 80 anyway, because our train can't go 80. Well, obviously it can, as we have seen, but it is not allowed to. Increase to 100, but it does not affect us at all. Now let's not forget to actually stop at Marsh Barton, because this is so unusual that we do that. Usually this station only works and functions as a stop marker or a slowdown marker for slowing down from 100 to 75, but this time we are stopping.
is Marsh Barton. This is a
03 Great Western Railway service to Exmouth, calling at Exeter St David's, Exeter Central, St James Park, Poleslow Bridge, Digby and Sutton, Newport, Topsham, Exton, Limston Commander, Limston Village, and Exmouth. The train at platform 2 is the 1603. Central, St James Park, Poleslow Bridge, Digby and Sutton, Newport, Topsham, Exton, Limston Commander, Limston Village, and Exmouth. All passengers intending to travel the service, please join the train.
So we're almost there, Kara. We're almost there. We're not even stopping at Exeter St. Thomas. Now we see the 3-aspect banner repeater is only announcing a yellow. Oh no, now the diesel engines failed. Let's see if we can actually manage it to get into the station. With only one diesel engine running. Magnet for the Morpeth 45 board. This is Exeter St. Thomas. And the yellow light. With a bit of bad luck, we actually have to stop at the home signal and try to restart our engines there. Yes, and the home signal is actually red. Now it is not anymore. Now we are junctioning to the right.
We are now approaching Exeter St. David's.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform and take care when stepping down
Now I
the
don't
train.
know how fast I can go. 25. Alright. Well, at least one engine is still working. Going to platform 1. I think this is 30. Unless there is another switch that is slower. Now 25 is okay. Don't need to be to 15. Made it.
This is Exeter St David's. This is a Great Western Railway.
Western Railway service to Exmouth. Calling at Exeter Central, St James Park, Poleslow Bridge, Digby and Soughton, Newcourt, Topsham, Exton, Limston Commando, Limston Village, and Exmouth.
And that's the service. Only thing that we did not make was the temporary speed restriction where the 2 boards did not spawn after all. Okay guys, thank you so much for bearing with me the last 3 hours of this unboxing stream for today, when we were actually running up against the official release stream. Tomorrow we will be back at about 1600 UTC, what is 1700 British summertime and 1800 Central European summertime, with a Leipzig Dresden. Until then, have a greatest of times, have fun with Train Sim World 6, explore stuff, don't get annoyed by the train faults or the other random events, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.